writing if you're still writing. But just want to have a little bit of a discussion with you all. So what were some of the things that came up for you? You want to raise your hand? Yeah.
I've had like very mixed feelings. Like I wrote excited, but I also wrote anxious. And I wrote like afraid, but like happy. Like when I first came to SDSU, when I first toured, like I knew like this is the school I wanted to go to, but I was afraid I wouldn't get in. And then when it came to like explore SDSU and orientation, I was excited to like go away, but afraid to be away from my family, afraid to start college classes. So I think like when I focus on like the good things, like I remember how I felt like when I first toured the campus, like this is the place I want to be. That's like what I think of.
Yeah, so a little bit of like mixed emotions is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wrote mostly about like when I first came to campus, and so it was right after I toured San Francisco State, and I like absolutely loved it there. So I kind of came here because my parents were like, "Oh, we're gonna finish out our tours," and I was like, "Oh, we'll just see how it is." And I remember like I walked on campus, and I was like, "Wait, this is it." And so I actually had like Jessica was my tour guide when we came, and she was like so quirky and fun, and like she made the whole campus feel so much smaller than it actually was. So I don't know, I kind of just like fell in love with campus as soon as I got onto it.
Yeah, so you kind of like, it was love at first sight.
Yeah, like, I wasn't expecting it at all. I was kind of just like, oh, let's just go see how this is.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So at orientation, when I first walked up to like the first ambassador, and they were like, "Oh, what's your red ID?" I was like, "What's a red ID?" And I was so scared because I didn't know what that was, and I forgot my login stuff to web portal, and so when we were picking classes, I had to like reset my whole password, and I was so scared that I wasn't going to get my classes. So orientation was really like nerve-wracking, and I didn't think that I was ready. But I also knew from my first visit that like this was the school for me, and that I was way more ready than I thought I was, and so I decided to keep reminding myself of that, and just like, be okay.
So even like little things like that, you know, like can be like, oh my gosh, like am I supposed to know this? Like what is, you know, especially at checking, I know that's something that we always ask is like, do you have, you know, a confirmation letter or, you know, a photo ID? Because that's usually how we check everyone in. So yeah, a lot of anxiousness, nervousness, even though you knew that this was where you wanted to be, right? Yeah, Gabrielle?
I remember feeling like super uncomfortable like in my own skin and like feeling super hostile towards my mom like during orientation because like I was so stressed out and I was just like the worst to her. But after like I went with the ambassador and stuff, like I like kind of like calmed down, but I was high stress. Like it was the most stressful day of my life.
Very stressful, yeah. And it's already a long day, you know. And,
yeah.
you know, your parent is going through their own orientation, so they're hearing some of the things that.
My mom and I fed off of each other's stress,
yep.
like, without a doubt. We were both like just out of control.
We see that a lot, and I think that's to be expected. You know, we definitely expect that. So for sure. Megan, and then we'll go through that to Megan. Megan and Megan.
When I came to, like, for my orientation, I remember that they pulled us into the room, and then we, like, I don't know if it was orientation or open house, but I definitely, like, we met, like, all the heads of, like, the departments and things like that, and then they just kind of, like, went over. And then the person that was talking at mine was Dr. Stuart Henry, and I thought he was, like, the coolest dude. Because he's, like, the director of public affairs, I think, the School of Public Affairs. And I just thought he was, like, so cool, and he was, like, telling us, like, all about the classes we get to take for, like, criminal justice and things like that, and I was just, like, so stoked, because all the classes were, like, really interesting.
So you kind of made that connection with somebody from, like, the first day when you hadn't even started school here, so that's great. Awesome.
So I like reflect on both parts because when I first like visited SDSU, it was like my 4th tour of the day. It was 90 degrees out. There was no one on campus because it was in the summer. And I was like, what is this place? Like, I thought it was beautiful, but I didn't really get the entire feel for it. And then it ended up being like where I went, obviously, because it was like my second choice. But then once I went to orientation, I was like, wow, okay, I actually do belong here. And that's when I really fell in love with it, was at orientation. And I met Jessica. We were in the same major group. And we took a picture, and I still have it today on Instagram, all the way from 2 years ago. Yeah, don't stalk me. But yeah, so I'm really grateful for my orientation. And we applied to ambassadors not even knowing that each other was doing it, so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think you also bring up a really good point, you know, that we see this, you know, sometimes where students, aren't still sure if SDSU is right for them, and they're coming to orientation still with like, I don't know if SDSU is the right place for me, and I think we see that more often than we might think. But that's also good for you all in your role as ambassadors, orientation leaders, to think about that. We also are still trying to make them feel comfortable and let them know all the things that SDSU has to offer, so they kind of feel more comfortable and know that this is the right place for them. For some of them, it may not, but hopefully we make a little bit of a difference in kind of saying that SDSU can be a home for them.
Yeah, and the other thing, use these experiences during the summer, because it's going to really help you understand the student and what they're going through, and a lot of what you all mentioned is what we see every year. We see, the stress and how mom and dad, how that plays out. We see people that meet each other and then 10 years, after 4 years they're still friends. We see it all. So really remember, reflect on this, in the morning, think about it. And you're also going to be working with parents. So think about your parents and what they went through too, and or what they're thinking their students going through, but you're like, well, no, not really, that's not what they're going through. And you can be able to talk to them. So really, rely on this so you can help out. And, yeah.
So why do you think we did this kind of reflection activity and taking you back to your freshman year, or for some of you who are transfer students?
We're going to be training for orientation this semester, so it's good to go back to those feelings when you were a new student, remember how you were feeling, and apply that to the students who will be helping.
Exactly. Yep. Jessica, did you want to add?
Yeah, it was basically that, just so we can relate to the students and kind of think about what they might need from us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think with training, sometimes it can be difficult to kind of understand why we may be going through a specific concept, or why you may need to know when SEC was founded, or just information that you didn't think you needed to know, but it is because of that. There is a purpose, and we don't want you all to lose sight of that this semester, of why is it that you're going through this training program as an ambassador. Because as Eunice mentioned, a lot of these experiences and a lot of these feelings and thoughts that you all had during orientation, or maybe the first time you came to campus, are going to be those feelings that are going to be going on through your students' head, but also through the parents. And we'll get more into that as the semester continues, and especially once the summer begins during ambassador training for new student orientation. So just wanted for you all to start kind of thinking about that, because it'll get here before we know it. So guys, if you all want to help with passing out the training syllabus and also the one handout sheet for academic advising, please. So I think, does everyone have the syllabus? So we updated the training syllabus for the spring semester. So there's a couple of things that are different on here. Obviously, we have a new group of training instructors. So we have here their names, their contact information, and their cell phone numbers. So if you ever need to get in touch with them, feel free to reference this or save it on your phone. The next part that we wanted to go over is the required materials. It's on page 2. And as you all know, your training binder, that is something that you'll continue to bring to training every Wednesday. Additionally, next week, you're going to be receiving a general catalog. So you probably received one of these during orientation, or you've seen it before. It essentially has a lot of the different graduation requirements, university policies, contact information that you will use during orientation and this training program. So you'll want to make sure that you bring that every week. You'll also get a folder, a packet that students receive at orientation when they check in, and a student handbook. And we'll go into more details into what your role is going to be in presenting that next week, but you want to make sure that you bring those materials every week with you, especially any handouts that our academic advisor, campus partner, Heather Saunders-Harbaugh, who's going to be facilitating the academic advising portion of the training each week. She'll have handouts for you also. You want to make sure that you bring those on a weekly basis. And then the next thing is quizzes. So you'll continue to have quizzes, and your first quiz will probably be the 4th week of the semester. So there'll be a couple of weeks that you don't have quiz, but as soon as Heather begins her part of the training, those quizzes will begin. And again, they'll be focused on the academic portion of the training. And similarly to fall semester, so there'll be the 80% structure of like passing or pass or fail. So 80% is still going to be that benchmark that we want you all to strive to get above. If you do fall below the 80% a week, your TI will probably be checking in with you. If you get an 80% below the second week, then I'll probably meet with you or Eunice just to check in, see how things are going, and more of like what you need in terms of support. And then the 3rd week, we'll have you either attend a review session. The TIs will continue to host those every week, or meet with your TI. So if the review session doesn't work, then you can meet with them at a separate time, at a time that works for both of you. So that'll give you the breakdown, and again, it'll be on a weekly basis. There is also going to be a semester final. So that'll be in April at some point. I believe it's the 2nd week in April. And we want to just study obviously for that. And we'll go over and make sure that you feel comfortable and are ready to take that final. And again, it'll focus on academic advising.
Yeah, and then this semester we will also be working on your small group presentation. So if you go back to your orientation day, you were with your ambassador, probably outside, sitting in a nice shady area, hopefully. And you had your catalog, and your ambassador went through that material along with your student handbook and your student folder. So those are 3 items that we go over briefly, but we'll be more into detail in the catalog. So you will be getting a script, but don't worry about it. It's actually not that bad. When you look at it, the information's right in front of you. So don't get overwhelmed by it. But like I said, there is a script, but it shouldn't be that bad. You know your tour script, so this is not new information. It's information that you already know pretty much. You're just now using their catalog to present that information. Okay. So that's something that we'll definitely do. Fall semester, there will be a time where you're going to meet with your TI or one of the TIs to do a small group presentation. And this will be the time when you'll be getting some feedback, areas to work on, or what you're doing really well. So if you look on page 3, that time will be between March 16 through April 12. So this will be your practice presentation, so it's only one. Alright, so this shouldn't be the first time that you're doing a presentation. You will get to see one, I don't know if it's today or next week, you will get to see what one actually looks like. And then of course you're going to have time to meet with your own TI, you can meet with me, with Frankie, if you need an additional help. But the time that you're meeting with them, March 16th through April 12th, should not be your first, okay? You should come prepared. If you miss an area, that's okay. This is the time when the TI will help